Praise the Lord. So, this is a new meditation series that is initiated by us, the ICPF Manipal Church. And through these series, we aim to focus on the practical issues of today's generation, which would help you all to find hope. So, for today's meditation, I would like to turn your attention to Philippians chapter 2, verses 12 to 13. So, let me just read it out. It says, "Dear friends, you always followed my instructions when I was with you, and now that I'm away, it is even more important. Work hard to show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear. For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him." So, there are times when we face a personal issue, we end up in a conflict with someone, or we have problems, difficulties in our studies, or we have problems in our jobs. See, in all of this, we need God's help. Trusting in God is the cornerstone of building a life of faith, but a life of faith doesn't just include that. Life of faith includes putting those problems to God in which we don't have control on, but at the same time, we do certain chores, we do certain tasks which we have control on which we can do. So it's trusting God and working diligently at the same time. Let God do His work and we do our work. See, a very good example of a person who put his faith in action, or had a balance with his faith and his action, was Joseph. Genesis chapter 37 to 47 speaks about the life of Joseph. So in that you can see Joseph was one among the favorite of the 12 sons of Jacob, and his brothers weren't okay about that fact. So what did they do? They betrayed him and sold him to the Egyptians. If you look at Joseph's life at that time, his life was pathetic. He was betrayed by his brothers, he was sold to Egypt, he was put in jail, he was made to work. Everything around him was horrible. His life at that time was a pathetic was in a pathetic situation. But Joseph never murmured or complained about the fact that these many wrongs had happened in his life. Instead, he entrusted it all to God. He made God his refuge. He put his problems to God. And later, God made his life a life of success. What did he do? How did he get that success? He did two things. One, he trusted God to do the divine part, and at the same time, he did certain responsibilities that he had to do fully and sincerely. And what were those responsibilities? He waited patiently for God, for his vindication, for his reward. He worked hard for his master Potiphar. He resisted Potiphar's wife when he had to. He interpreted so many dreams of his co-workers, of the king. He took care of the prison for the warden. And at the right time, wisely, he piled up the food and the grain for the time of famine. So Joseph did what was in front of him. He did his responsibilities sincerely. He put his faith in action, and God blessed him. God made him fruitful. The Pharaoh of the Egypt found favor on Joseph. He was given the power over the entire land of Egypt, and he had more than he could ask for. Why? Because he put his faith in action, and God rewarded him accordingly. Similarly was the life of Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. If you see, these four young men were brought to the palace by King Nebuchadnezzar, and they were given, because of their intelligence, because of their talents, they were given the control over the entire province of Babylon. just they also, like Joseph, they made sure they did their responsibilities perfectly. They put their faith in action. They what do you say, when they were given the duties for the province, they made sure they did that well. Daniel was capable in interpreting the dreams of the king. See, they were brought in the palace, so obviously they could have lived a life very pleasurable, very peaceful. Um, live in live with the blessings that the palace could provide for them. But instead of enjoying those pleasures, those blessings, they prefer to stay away from it and live a low key. They humble themselves in front of God. They set apart everything, considering them as children of God, and lived a humble life for God. And likewise, they were rewarded for their work also. God delivered them mightily from their troubles when they were in, because who would have ever knew Daniel could come out alive from a lion's den? No one could have wondered that God would come down from heaven to save Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they were cast into the fire. So likewise, the way these people were delivered from their troubles, when these people were blessed by God, similarly, when we put our faith in action, when we do certain chores, when we do certain tasks which God wants us to do, in which God would be pleased by us, God would bless us abundantly for it. He would be pleased with it, right? So just like Philippians 2:12-13 says, let us pray that God works in us. Let us obey Him in fear and reverence, and let's make sure that our work, our chores, our tasks that we do might be pleasing to God, and that we could glorify Him through our works. And lastly, to trust in Him solely. May God bless you with these words.